Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you some makeup dupes. This is something that I am super pumped about because I hate buying high-end stuff if I don't have to. I mean, there are things that are definitely worth the money, but there are other things which you can find so similar that it's just not worth the $40 price gap. Not everything I'm going to be showing is going to be exact dupe, but they will be so close that I have found no need to buy the actual high-end version of it. I'm going to start with foundation, and the first one that I'm going to talk about is a dupe for the Nars Sheer Glow Foundation, which is loved by so many people here on YouTube. I find that a very similar dupe for this foundation in both consistency and finish is the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation from the drugstore. At least here in Canada, this is around the $40 to $50 range, and the L'Oreal True Match is around the $10-ish range. So a huge difference there, and literally, if I applied this to one half of my face and this to the other half, I swear you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They're both a very semi-matte foundation, and they both come in very, very pale shades, so that's always worth knowing. For those wondering, I have the shade Siberia in Nars, which is a very pale yellowish toned foundation, and I have W1 in the L'Oreal True Match, which is more of a neutral shade, but it's definitely not too pink, and it's very, very pale. This next dupe is actually the only one that isn't one high-end, one drugstore. They're both more on the higher end, but just for a comparison of foundations, I just want to say that the MAC Matchmaster Foundation, gross, dirty, I know, and the Urban Decay Naked Skin Foundation are so similar. Again, both like a very liquidy, watery, medium coverage foundation, and they're both definitely semi-matte, and both look really great on oily skin. Even as your oil comes through, it doesn't break up, and these are very similar to each other. So if you didn't want to buy both, these are very, very similar to each other, and I think the MAC one is about $10 cheaper. I have a few concealers here. The first dupe I want to mention is for the Sephora Bright Future Gel Serum Concealer. This is a great, very light coverage concealer. It's very hydrating, very serum-y, as the title would suggest, and it's just very natural and gives a very natural finish. And the dupe that I found is the Rimmel Wake Me Up Concealer. These are both literally exactly the same formulation. Like, they look exactly the same, they feel exactly the same. This is probably like $18, and I think this is probably like $5. And if I'm gonna be totally honest, the Wake Me Up Concealer is actually a little bit more long wearing in my opinion. I feel like many people have made this association before, and this dupe is for the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This is a great, very well loved in the YouTube community and just beauty community concealer, and the dupe I have found is the Hard Candy Glamoflauge. This is actually a little bit more full coverage than the MAC Pro Longwear, but they both do exactly the same thing, and again, the price difference is probably like, I don't know, $20 versus like, I think I can get this for like $4 or $5. Like, both heavy duty, good coverage, matte, and long wearing effect. I actually just came across this highlighter not too long ago. This is the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek Pearlized Highlighter in the shade Fanny Pack, which is a very bright white, and it is literally exactly the same as the Becca Shimmering Skin Highlighter in the shade Pearl. I think that's what it's called. It's the very, very white one anyway. And I just want to say that this is literally exactly the same shade, like very bright white, very shimmery, and the price difference is like insane. This was, I think, $6 or $8 on the Colourpop website, and the Becca Shimmering highlighter, whatever, is I think over $50 at Sephora. The difference, of course, is in the formulation, because this is kind of like a gel bouncy cream kind of texture, whereas the Becca is definitely a powder, although I feel like they have a cream version. I could be totally wrong on that. Again, with highlights, again, I wish I had the side-by-side, but because I have this, I literally have no reason to purchase the Hourglass one. And this is the Hard Candy Candlelit Illuminating Powder Duo. That's kind of like a highlighter brightening powder, but there is no shimmer whatsoever. You can kind of see there, it's more like a moonlit glow. It's not like a shimmering, there's no glitter, there's no sparkle, there is no anything. It's just like beautiful, like, you guys can just see it, and you can see even in the product itself, like it looks like the Hourglass powders, like just the way that they look, and they apply very similarly as well. This is like $5 and the Hourglass one is, well, you know, like 50 bucks or whatever. I have a couple bronzers that I want to talk about. Is a comparison of the Sephora Los Cabos, the Sephora bronzer, and this is a matte powder. I depotted it and have it in kind of a Z palette, and this is the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek Matte Bronzer in Bon Voyage. And as you can probably see, I hope the camera picks this up, the colors are literally exactly the same. Again, the formulation is different, where this is a powder and this is kind of like a gel creamish powder. This one here is a Sephora bronzer and this one here is the Colourpop. Both matte, both very, very similar colors, and the price difference, I think the Sephora one is around $20, I'm gonna say, and the Colourpop one was, I think, $8. Now I want to talk about blushes, and this is the Tarte Exposed blush, the Amozonian Clay 12-Hour blush, and it is a beautiful, like, slightly kind of glowy, natural, rosy shade. And this is the Rimmel blush. This is the long-lasting soft color blush in the shade Pink Rose, and they are a very, very similar shade. This one here is the Rimmel, and it has a little bit more of a sheen to it, whereas the Tarte one is like slightly more matte. Oh, the Beauty Blender bust. I lost my beauty blender like months and months ago, and I didn't want to pay the $25 for a new one. So here in Canada we have a brand called Quo that is sold at Shoppers Drug Mart. So I bought this little purple sponge from the brand Quo, and I will literally never go back to the beauty blender. I like this so much better. I think this is $8 at Shoppers. It feels like the sponge in this is more like softer and like condensed, like it just feels better on your skin. I feel like it absorbs less foundation when you're using it than the beauty blender did, and like I said, this is so much better and so much cheaper. I'll never go back to the beauty blender. I wish I had the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz here to show you, but after I ran out of it, I did not want to spend the money again because I felt like it went through so quickly. Like I had it and then all of a sudden I ran out like in like 2 weeks or something. Like it was crazy. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not spending that money on that again. And I went to the drugstore and I bought this Annabelle Skinny Brow, and this is in the shade Universal Taupe, although they do have a few other shades as well. And what I like about this is that it's very similar to the Brow Wiz in that it's very tiny and you can just kind of, you know, the mechanical pencil there, and it has like a little bit of a comb on the end. This stuff, I'm wearing it on my brows right now and like literally every day of life. It is so good. It is so long lasting, and the color range is great. Like I think there's only 4 colors if I'm not mistaken. However, they're very like cool neutral tones. They're not like the warm reddish tones. Anyway, this brow pencil, I get this at Walmart. I think you can also get it at Lawton's drugstores in Canada, and it's so amazing. Like I'm so glad I found this. This is my second one and they seem to last for a very long time. The color is perfect for my blonde hair, and the consistency is great, the wear time is great, and it's so much cheaper than the Anastasia Brow Wiz. Dupe for the Kat Von D Studded Kiss lipstick, and this is in the shade Lovecraft, which is like a really nice mauvey dusty pink shade. I have found 2 drugstore lipsticks that are very similar. I don't think either of them are perfect, but they are so similar that like I would never buy the Studded Kiss lipstick when I ran out, because I know that there are these 2. And the first one is the Maybelline Matte Lipstick, and this is in the shade Lust for Blush, which as you can see has a very similar color in the tube. There it is there. It is a little bit more pink than the Studded Kiss, but it is so similar, and they're both very matte shades. The other one, which I think is a little bit closer in color, is the NYX Matte Lipstick, and this is in the shade Whipped Caviar, which is one of my favorite lipsticks of all time. As you can see, the NYX one here is very similar to the Kat Von D one over there. Both very similar tone, and again, all 3 of these are very matte texture. The next dupe I have is for the Sephora brand lipstick, which is a really lovely brownish pink color as well. And the dupe that I have for it is a Maybelline lipstick, and this is from the Matte collection in the shade Touch of Spice, which Again, looks very similar in the tube there. And there it is there. Like, look how similar those are. Like, they're not perfect, no, but they are so similar. It's crazy. To be totally honest, I kind of like the Maybelline one a little bit better because I like the more matte finish, where I think the Sephora one is more of like a satiny kind of deal. Anyway, that concludes my first ever dupes video. I just love finding cheaper alternatives to things, and especially with lip products. I don't have a lot of high-end lip products because there are so many great lip products from the drugstore, L'Oreal, Maybelline, just so many to choose from, and they're so good. Like, on another note, I never ever in my life have bought a high-end mascara because the drugstore has so many great mascara options. L'Oreal, the Voluminous Original, is the one that I use every single day, and I love it, and it's less than $10. So I just feel like you can't really beat that. Anyway, give this video a thumbs up if you love dupe videos, and maybe I can do more in the future. If you want to see more of me, I film new videos 2 or 3 times every single week, and you can always subscribe if you want to get that little notification so that you don't miss any of my future videos. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.